Sorry, we unmute you.
Conway. Hi, good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the OMICC meeting. Hello. Hi, everybody. We are starting, I don't even know what day it is. It is Tuesday. I'm just so confused right now. So as we are going into having these weekly meetings, we're going to go around and do the introduction. And as everybody is in loading, enrolling in the meeting, let's start with Daniel Humsey. Say hello and what you're eating more now than ever.
Daniel Humsey. I'm eating my wife's delicious cooking more than ever.
Where are you from, Daniel?
Noe Valley.
What organization, Daniel?
The Delia Fitzpatrick Fan Club.
You don't cooperate. All right.
I'm with the city.
Teresa, name what you're eating more now of and what organization you're from.
Hello, Teresa de Dios. I am eating more of my daughter's baking, which she needs to stop doing. And I'm from Stone Sound YMCA.
Very good. Monica? Unmute.
Okay, I'm here. I'm eating more of our own home cooking.
Oh.
And
where are you from?
Ridge Lane Neighbors in OMI.
All right. Very good. Al Harris?
Al Harris, Family Resource Center. What am I eating more of? Just the same.
Okay, Patty?
So Patty Clement with Catholic Charities, and I am eating more of my own home cooking.
Renard?
There we go. Hi, how you doing? Renard Monroe, Youth First. I'm eating more cereal for some reason. I guess because we're buying it for the kids so much. I'm eating the cereal now.
What's the favorite cereal?
This is pretty bad, but I'm on the Captain Crunch.
No.
Yeah, it's terrible. I can't tell a lie, but Captain Crunch is.
I love it. I love it. Cornflakes is my dinner favorite, though.
Punching in place.
It's simple, right? It's very simple.
Very simple. It's easily accessible. It's like grab the box, get some milk.
That's
have
it.
You know, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm terrible.
All right, David.
Hi everyone, David Munoz with CYC. I've also, like Renard, been eating much more cereal. And my poison of choice is Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
What? Nice. All right. Helen?
Hi, Helen from the library. And I've been eating more homemade bread because I got a bread machine.
Oh, nice. That's great. Great. Mary?
Hi. I'm not eating more of anything. I'm drinking because I'm conscious of gaining weight because not moving so much. So I'm drinking a lot of sparkling flavored waters. And we're also trying to support the, because we belong to the Excelsior Action Group too. So we're trying to support restaurants in the Mission Corridor. Like Gentilly opened a year ago, and it's a New Orleans style, and it's something we don't have at all in our area, so we don't want it to go bye-bye.
Right.
So we've been ordering from there, and the Dark Horse, which is another restaurant that has supported the EAG, and we want to support them back and hope that they can all stay in business when this is all over with.
That's true. That's true. We have to support them. Mary Evelyn Thomas.
Well, I'm a child care provider in the OMI. Hopefully I will continue eating more. I call it ghetto dessert frosted flakes.
Ooh, yes, yes. Very good. Glendy, nice to see you.
Hi, hello everybody. Glendy Domingo from SF State. Sorry, my computer doesn't have a video capacity at the moment, but great to see all your faces. Thank you, Delia, for always inviting me. I'm sorry, what was the question? I was going in and out.
What are you eating more now than ever?
Gosh, what am I not eating? That's the question. What's in front of me? I was just eating nuts because I'm trying to be healthy because it's been a bad couple of days. So just better, healthy, natural food.
Okay, very good. I see we have our, we're gonna start with Vivian next, and then we're gonna go on to our Assessor Carmen Chu afterwards. So Vivian.
Hi, I'm Vivian. I'm actually a staffer at Assessor Carmen Chu's office. I'm her communications director, and thank you, Delia, for this opportunity for having Assessor Chu joining the group and sharing some of the work from our office, and as well as the Economic Recovery Task Force. So nice to see you all. Thank you.
What are you eating, Vivian?
Oh, well, then I'm eating more than ever. My parents cooking, so I'm fortunate that my parents are here with me, shelter in place. So I'm having a lot of family food.
Okay, very good. Carmen.
So the food that I'm eating the most of these days, which I'm a little bit ashamed of, is Cheetos.
Really?
Yes.
Puffy or the regular?
All three, the hot Cheetos, the regular crunchy, and the puffy.
Yes, we're all, yes, the fan
Like it.
favorites.
What about extra flaming Cheetos, triple X one? Those things are out of control.
Are they good?
Look
Oh
at
my
Patty.
gosh.
Patty saying no.
My daughter had one bite and had to run to the bathroom and wash her mouth out. It was hilarious.
I do see a lot of things in my chat saying that people are drinking a lot more than they're eating. I see a lot of hands up. Yes, we're drinking a lot more of very good wine or water. Very good.
Carmen, is Nicole still working for you?
You know, Mary, Nicole actually just started her maternity leave last week. So for folks who may not know, Nicole is actually going to be having her first baby due, I think, at the end of the month, and we're really excited for her. So, you know,
Does she
so far
know if she's having a boy or a girl?
Well, I think she said it's a girl. I hope I didn't spill the beans, but I think people know.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
My daughter's still with a baby girl on my birthday, July 31st.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
So we have Carmen Chu from the Assessor's Office. She currently serves as the Vice President of the California Assessors Association and past President of the Bay Area Assessors Association. She runs an organization of 200 professionals. Her efforts in overhauling the operations and performance of the office is successfully reversing the decade-old backlog earned her office in receiving the prestigious 2020 Good Government Award, an honor recognizing excellence in public sector management and stewardship. In addition, Carmen Chu serves on the San Francisco Employees Retirement System Board, where she oversees the investments and policies of a $26 billion public pension system. She also provides direction on the Executive Board of SPUR, and recently she is tasked to co-chair the city's iconic Economic Recovery Task Force to help San Franciscans get back on feet after the COVID-19 crisis. Carmen Chu, you are up.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Delia, for having me, and for everybody. It's really good to see you all, especially I think because many of us are missing kind of seeing each other and that closeness and connection that we have. I thought I would just share with you a little bit of the city's picture in terms of our economic outlook, and then go into some of the work of the Economic Recovery Task Force and open it up for questions that you may have. So I think in a nutshell, we as a city have done a great job of being amongst the first places to be able to put a pretty extensive shelter-in-place order in. And I think the result of that has been seen through our health system capacity not being overrun. I think in terms of the number of people who are getting sick, the spread of COVID-19 and so on, we've been doing relatively well when you compare us to kind of the spikes that you saw in the East Coast in particular, like New York and other places. So that's been very positive. I think on the economic impact, though, we've been less fortunate, and I think this is probably true for around the world, frankly. We see with the shutdown of the economy a pretty extensive and dire situation for a lot of our small businesses who are having a hard time, even large businesses too. A lot of our hotels, for example, shut down because there's no tourism, those kinds of things. And not only that, but I think we're also seeing the impacts of that really felt acutely amongst our workers who now are either reduced hours, have unemployment, and in particular, many of the people who were already struggling in the economy before COVID-19 are struggling even more now too. So there really is a pretty significant impact overall on the economy. For San Francisco's budgetary outlook, everything is all tied together, right? And so to the extent that businesses are no longer producing income, they're also not going to be paying certain taxes that typically come due to the city. So key amongst those things are things like hotel taxes that are no longer being generated, and other taxes. Business taxes we're pushing off a bit because businesses are really struggling right now. So there's a lot of impact on the city's budget. The expectation in terms of where our outlook looks for the next 2 years is that we will be entering a situation where we have a 1.1 to potentially a $1.7 billion budget deficit over 2 years. That means that we are almost 2 times worse off than where we were when we hit the Great Recession. So during the Great Recession, we had maybe a 2-year budget deficit of something more in the range of 700 to 800 million. And now we're in a much different territory when we're talking about 1.2, 1.1 to 1.7 billion dollars. Those were numbers as of March. We've learned more about the economy in the last month in April, and so the Comptroller's Office will be truing up what that expectation will be in terms of the shortfall. And everything I've heard is that the numbers will probably go up. The deficit number will probably go up, and it's not necessarily going to go down. That being said, I think we're going to have to make pretty tough choices in the city's budget, and it is coming exactly at the time when we most need to help. And so I think that is why I think a lot of us are just working around the clock to kind of figure out what and how we're going to respond and work on this. Ultimately, this is going to require state and federal help because there's no way that San Francisco is going to do this alone or can do this alone, even though, relatively speaking, we have more resources than other places may in terms of cushion. For example, we've had a pretty robust policy over the last few years of socking away money to put into a reserve in order to allow for money to help during a tough time. So I'm certain that we're going to use some of that funding to help soften the blow, but still it's not at 1.7 billion. So that just means that it helps to soften the blow, but it doesn't fix the problem for us. So I think we're going to have a lot of choices there to make. On the economic recovery side, I think the health gains are that we have, by all measures, really have flattened the curve here in the Bay Area and San Francisco. But I think what's important to know is that when we talk about flattening the curve, it's simply saying that we're slowing the rate of infection. It doesn't mean that we've created or figured out a vaccine or that we've gotten rid of it. It's still here. There are still asymptomatic carriers. It's still out there, right? And so I think when we think about economic recovery then, it really complicates the picture, because it's not as if we can say, great, we fixed this health crisis and now we can move on to the economic recovery part. We actually have to be continuing to monitor the health impact while thinking about how we would responsibly open up certain activities to happen in the city. And I think that's a very complicated question, which is one of the ones that I'm tasked to think through with the city leaders on our economic recovery task force. The key thing that we're trying to figure out on the task force key directive is to say, how do we put San Francisco in the best place forward, best foot forward to be able to recover when we are able to? And so I think so far we've done a lot of outreach with our task force members. We're going to continue to do outreach into communities and to different groups. If you are interested in participating or have some thoughts about how we might be able to think about reopening, I really encourage you to visit our onesanfrancisco.org website, and you will find a link to COVID-19 section where it'll take you directly to the work of the task force as well as a public survey. That public survey is translated into Spanish, Chinese, and Tagalog, so we're hoping to reach more people to be able to provide feedback. But that being said, I think how we're thinking about it is a few ways. I think if I could talk about the first bucket is around, in the immediate term, we need to help our DPH guide how it is that our economy can safely reopen and really facilitate that process. So that means really going out to neighborhoods, to businesses, to different sectors to say, what are the best practices that you can really operationalize? So let's not create these pie in the sky policies that won't work for how you do things on the ground, but let's talk to you about how it is that we can actually create safe social distancing, among other things, so that we could consider potentially opening up certain parts of the economy, right? So there's that first piece, which is how do we facilitate that safe reopening aspect? The second big bucket is around the fact that we don't expect COVID-19 to go away like immediately, right? It's going to be with us for a period of time until a vaccine is widely available and effective. And that may be 1 year, it may be more. We don't really know, but it also could be shorter depending on whether the scientific community can have a breakthrough. We don't know what that looks like. And so knowing that there is a bit of uncertainty and length of time associated with this being in our community, there's a question that we want to answer, which is how do we help people and businesses be resilient during that intermediate period of time? If we have to do openings and potentially shutdowns, what will that look like? How do we help workers who might get sick be able to weather the storm and make sure that they don't lose their job because they went to go get tested, right? So there's a lot of questions around vulnerable communities and so on in that bucket that we want to be thinking about. And then finally, the last piece of it has to do with sort of this aspirational component, which is to say, well, San Francisco is going to have limited resources as a city to invest in things, but we are also going to have seen how we do work totally change and how we interact with our physical spaces totally change as a result of COVID-19. So how do we want to be thinking about building a San Francisco that is better for the future? And we don't know what the future may be exactly, but we sure have like aspirations to it. So do we want a more equitable kind of economy? How do we build that? Do we want to have a more green economy? You know, what would we need to do that? Housing is always a big deal, you know, for San Francisco and the Bay Area. So what can we do to incentivize that right now? So those are sort of the longer term components of the thinking on the Economic Recovery Task Force. So I guess I will just stop there because that was a mouthful, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And then hopefully, if I don't have the answers, I'll make sure to try to get them to you.
How do you envision CBOs fitting into your task force mission?
Yeah, I think a great question. CBOs are part of our organizational structure right now. So we do have CBO partners who are part of the task force, as well as labor unions who have nonprofit workers, for example, are also part of the task force. It is an interesting thing, and we're thinking about it because parallel to us talking about what's opening and how the economy opens up or private businesses or organizations open up, we're also thinking in parallel about what are those health directives mean for the economy, but what does it also mean for city services too, right? So what kind of city services are we going to open up? So we have kind of these parallel tracks that currently our city leaders are thinking about, the external opening and then the city. The nonprofit world is a mix in between, right? because it's really helping us to operationalize some of our city services in the communities, right? But they're not part of the city's structure per se, right? And so I think what we're going to do is we're trying to figure out how it is, number one, that DPH wants to kind of phase the economic recovery plan, and then really think through, as city reopens, economy opens, then also, you know, what is it that the nonprofit kind of partnership, what will that look like, and how will we open that alongside with it? So absolutely right to be asking that question. We are thinking about it, but I think we have a lot of questions to ask about just generally how we're going to open up and phase it, that we haven't landed on yet. So I think it'll more to come later as we know more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just for everyone's, if you're not looking at the group chat, Vivian has added a lot of the documents and links to the information that Assessor Chu has been talking about into the group chat.
Yeah, and I will say one of the things that I have heard a lot from people is this idea about, I'm confused by the fact that there's a state kind of information about what's opening and what the phases are, and then what our local jurisdiction is doing. Right. So I would just say that if you think about it this way, the state is providing kind of statewide guidance for how we may open in different phases. For the most part, counties are supposed to take a look at that guidance and basically say, how does this apply, and is it relevant to my county? Because remember, the state is basically saying green light on these different kinds of entities to open because our health indicators look good. But what if they're taking a look, but they are essentially looking at health indicators for the whole state, right? But what if in San Francisco, all of our health indicators are all red, right? It means that we're not ready to move forward, whereas maybe other places that don't have those indicators are. So I think it's important for people to know that the state guidance kind of provides a general kind of framework and big bucket, but we need to figure out if it applies well to San Francisco by looking at our health indicators, among other things. So just know that for the most part, we are trying to make sure that we're coordinating with what the state is doing, but we can most likely not be less restrictive than they are, but we oftentimes will be a little bit more conservative given San Francisco's dense nature.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Please stay safe, and hopefully we'll see each other in person again soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
See you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Monica?
Yes, thank you. And I apologize, everyone. It was a little bit late to the beginning of the meeting. So I have a few updates, and the reason why I was late is because one of them. We started a meal distribution this week of 600 meals a day, 3 days a week, in partnership with the World Central Kitchen. And we were very grateful that this was facilitated by Delia Fitzpatrick and the amazing Gwen. We had our first distribution on Monday, and so we had 200 meals through the OMI, 200 in the Excelsior, and 200 distributed at SF Christian in partnership with Longfellow Elementary. And, you know, everyone enjoyed it. It was smooth. It was good. We're anticipating of going to 5 days a week. So that'll be 3,000 meals served, prepared meals served a week for the District 11 community within a couple of weeks. And so we're happy for that, because food security still is the #1 need and resource within our district. And so we're doing everything we can, from opening a mini levy site to this partnership. And we are also looking to work with SF Food Bank, because they reached out to us about opening up additional neighborhood pantries. And so if your organization is, I know a lot of you already are doing this, who are already on the line, but if you have, if you know of another organization within our district who is interested in becoming a neighborhood pantry, please let me know, and I can help coordinate that with SF Food Bank. In addition to that, thanks to another generous contribution by Supervisor Dean Preston and UC Berkeley, we were able to get 16 or 15 gallons of hand sanitizer. I know that's been a huge need and ask from a lot of people. So if you need a sanitizer, please let me know. The issue right now is that we don't have little bottles to put them into, so we just have gallons.
Dip.
But apparently, I know these are hard to come by. Just like sprinkle your hands, or we just had one big bottle. So I know, Renard, you guys are able to find some bottles. Please let me know where you can buy them at, or if any of y'all have bottles or want to donate bottles or anything, please let me know, because we do have these large gallons that we want to then put into smaller bottles and distribute it out amongst the community, because I know IT Bookman has needs, ICY has needs, everyone has needs, and so we just gotta figure it out. And if anyone has bottles, let me know. I don't mind just sitting in front of my TV for a weekend and pouring it in. It's all good.
How many gallons do you have again?
We have 15 of the large, 15 gallons. So if you, Daniel, at the EOC have a hookup for those small containers, please let me know.
I was to suggest that if people have pump soap dispensers, they can recycle those pretty easily for something like this. Just as
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And I am working with I'm making the ask to everybody, like UC Berkeley, other partners as well, to see if we can find some bottles, so I don't have to make people show up with their soap dispenser. But either way, I'm sure it'll work. So that's that. Today, Supervisor Safai is introducing a resolution to urge California to immediately release support, the $350 million support for early educators that was received from the CARES Act. There's been a lot of concern. I know many of you on this line right now, early educators who fear they might not open up again just because of the loss of tuition, the social distancing, and their requirements to have a reduced number of kids within their sites. And so many are fearing that they won't be able to reopen and serve the needs of the city as more and more people are going back to work. And so Supervisor Safai is introducing that resolution today in partnership with President Yee, and we're working with the Office of Early Care and Education as well as the Children's Council to really get supports locally from the mayor for early educators, as well as, work with our state leadership to see what they can do to release that money sooner, because right now their current timeline was July, and many are saying that could be too late. Yeah, so that's that. We're going to be having a virtual, I don't know, some of you were on it, but the Vehicle Triage Center, which was the safe parking program out of the Balboa Upper Yards. We're having a meeting for that next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So if you all would like to join virtually, I will be sharing that information tomorrow. And Daniel at the EOC, we would love you guys to help host. So I'll ask you guys, I'll ask that separate. I'll make that request separately, but we'd love the EOC community branch to be that main provider for that event. I think that's about it right now, just of the last few days. There's a lot going on, but if y'all have any questions, concerns, please let me know. I'm here to help.
Any questions? Thank you, Monica.
No worries. I started again to arrive late, but here to support any way you can. Y'all have my phone number, my email. Just text me. I'll be there. I'll be there to help you. All right, everybody. See you later.
You. All right. Daniel?
Just call my name.
Oh, my Lord. Yes.
That was like the Obama riff, right? Just one line, but it was smooth. Because I ain't got no range. All right. So, my goodness, you guys are just the A-list here. Carmen Chu, that's the first time I've seen her on any Zoom talking about the economic recovery. So kudos to you guys and Delia for getting that put together. Hey, so we're just following up on the conversations that we had the last 2 weeks regarding the chance to maybe build out the resilience of the community and getting folks on track for the potentially a fall activity suite that could include the COVID-19 reboot, but also include heat waves and poor air quality and a myriad of other exciting things that come into play here in the city. If Conway, can you pull down that slide really quick? Because we're going to speak to, that's the implementation plan, but I wanted to go over the scope of work. Delia, do we email the scope of work to everybody?
We attached it to the agenda, to the meeting.
Yes, so people have, so everyone hopefully has a copy of the document I created as a result of last week's conversations. If you could take a look at that, we can quickly walk through it and just get a vision match about you know, what is on paper right now. At the highest level, the opening sentence is just that the Resilient OMI COVID-19 Vulnerable Populations Readiness Program will increase the capacity of the neighborhood to identify, prepare, and support residents whose health and well-being are at risk during times of stress. So that's the umbrella narrative. Hopefully people feel that reflects what was discussed. The goals of the initiative will be to raise awareness of the Resilient OMI initiative, its mission and objectives, identify residents that want to volunteer to advance the level of readiness and response capacity of the OMI, and identify residents that may need support in preparing for and surviving a disaster. And so beyond all that were many of the objectives that were discussed that day or the last two meetings. One, of course, was to recruit volunteers to support this initiative. It's pretty clear that we have to really increase the bandwidth of the community to even design and implement a program like this. We need to create a outreach strategy building on the model of the city created door hangers with an attachment to it that expands awareness of the OMI Resilient OMI program and the ways people can plug in, volunteer, or call a phone number and self-identify as someone that wants to be checked on. And as a result of that phone call, they will receive a COVID-19 readiness kit, if you will. It doesn't have to be COVID-19 implicitly, but just thought that might be a good hook. And the idea being is working out a strategy to get the door hangers out, collect the information that people need help, and then get the kits assembled and push them back out. So the idea being then, of course, is creating what I would say is like a hyper-local disaster registry that everyone can use. Well, the Resilient OMI program can use to, one, advance readiness pre-event. So let's say they announce that this weekend, 5 days from now, there'll be a huge heat wave. So for 5 days, there'll be a little runway to reach out to folks and get them to prepare. And then during the heat wave, to conduct some kind of phone banking activity or something that's just checking on everyone as they are going through the heat wave. So that'd be an example of how this pre-work would end up generating an operating model during times of stress. So I'll hit pause there and give everyone a chance to reflect against that scope of work and see if that's consistent with what everyone felt was being shared on the calls the last 2 weeks. Everyone all right? Monica, everyone's cool. Patty, nodding. Captain Crunch up there, he's all good. I like it. All right. All right. Teresa hates it though. She's just like, no, 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 no. You don't get it. So with that, I think the only thing that we still have to figure out is the reality is that this is a great program, but the truth is that implementing it takes bandwidth. And the truth is that I think one of the things I've noticed on our calls is that there's a tremendous interest in doing this work, but one of the areas that needs to be sort of fleshed out is who's going to really program manage it and get it off the ground. I think it's kind of like a spaceship. It takes a lot of energy to get in space, but once you're there, you get relatively easy to stay there. But the idea being is, you know, how do we get someone to step up and sort of own this and sort of create an implementation plan and manage all the moving parts? And, you know, Patty reached out and said she wanted to do it, but I said, no, Patty, you look at her face. Yeah, I thought she was gonna puke there for a second. But no, it's not something that I think to some extent our CBO partners can easily onboard right now just because of all the other moving parts you have. And I know Mary and Al definitely are committed to the work as well. But the truth is like there's a technical need in place initially for sure. And so the idea that I wanted to submit for consideration is that you guys are in contract with CYC to advance this resilience work, and given the numbers that we've identified, you could in theory use some of those funds to actually retain CYC to do the program management on this project, similar to like how you retain other people to manage your like your community health fair, and you have someone on there that you retain to sort of handle marketing and outreach and awareness. So the question for this the folks on this call is that, you know, would you want to consider some kind of proposal or scope of work from CYC for the implementation of this program plan, so that you can consider using your funds to onboard them as program managers, as well as your fiscal to purchase and take care of all the wraparound activity for the program plan. So I yield to the group on that for discussion. If you want, we can have David hang up. Oh, he's still there, but it's up to you how you want to handle that. But again, what that would mean is that I would work with CYC to put together a scope of work and an associated budget for their role in the campaign development and implementation. And then the group would ratify it next week. And if it is ratified, then you'd be in full-blown implementation relatively soon. So given the timing of this June, was it June 15th, the deadline? When does this money have to be spent by? June 15th?
June 15th is good.
Yeah, so June 15th, I just feel like, you know, the window is shortening to get a team put together and run this. And as you all know, I work very closely with David, and he's had experience on all these different operations that we've been running. So there is an advantage for CYC's contributions considering the timing as well. So again,
are there any questions or objections for any of the members of the group?
All right, so show of thumbs. Does everyone approve the idea of our friends at CYC giving a proposal scope of work with an associated budget? Looking good. Monica, you good? Everyone's good? Patty gave a thumbs up. All right, great. So that'll be our takeaway. Oh, yes, Delia.
I think if CYC can present next week their thoughts and ideas as far as moving forward, that would be good.
Perfect. So that was the vote, was not approving CYC to do the work, but approving CYC to submit a scope of work with an associated budget. Done. So we can easily, I think, pull that together in a week and have that on the table based on the document that's been shared.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Daniel, I'm really interested in being part of this process too. I don't know how to run anything, and I don't have a CBO, but I really want to help with whatever I can. I'm just not sure where I would fit in. So if you need anything, let me know if there's something I can do.
Sure. Well, this is not about CYC taking this project over. This is about you having someone who's going to handle the technical work. Right. And we do need strategic vision and all that, because there's going to be a sunset on their participation, and whatever they stand up, you guys all have to be able to run. And so I assure you, your participation is essential to this project, and we very much appreciate you articulating that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a collaborative effort. Ideally, what we want to do is stand up the project so that the neighborhood can take it over, as opposed to us running the project. It's just giving you the technical support and the bandwidth to be able to take this over yourselves, right? Because it's your neighborhood. We may work in the neighborhood, but we're definitely, it's not our neighborhood. So I think that's sort of important for us to have that understanding, right? That this actually can't happen only with CYC doing the work. We can help you stand up, but the real work actually comes from y'all, the local CBOs, who actually have their foots and their hearts literally attached to the community, because that's what's really going to drive this work.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Excellent.
Good. How is your workload, David?
It's fine.
I can't see your face. I can't see.
Your expression, right?
I know, right? I need to be able to see the lie that's, you know.
It's fine. No, I'm kidding. My workload is just fine. Very manageable at this point. And this isn't outside of the normal scope of things that I would do for other neighborhoods. So we can definitely help out.
All right. And how many do you have on your team?
Our team is a team of 7 right now.
Okay. And you're able to mobilize volunteers to support the project?
So we can mobilize volunteers, but what we want to do is actually figure out how to, and I guess we'll submit it in the scope of work. We want to actually help you stand up your own network of volunteers, right? Because it's not suitable for CYC to actually take this project on, right? We'll just give you the technical support and the capacity to garner those volunteers so that y'all can do the work, because this is really for your neighborhood.
Right. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, that's the key thing, is the volunteer piece is really your workforce development piece. And so that's how you're going to find your next army, if you will, to advance your readiness and response goals. So it's essential that that step be done with the community, for the community.
Right.
Cool.
I see this as an opportunity to sort of become a neighborhood captain in my little area. Because people have been really responsive in my little neighborhood to, you know, saying hello to everybody and making sure other people are okay. So I think this is a great opportunity.
I just received a text from the mayor, Al Harris, and he feels like this is a great way to jumpstart the strategy of getting the block champion network set up across the OMI, start getting those block parties we've been talking about going. And so this is that sort of breadcrumb that leads up to that neighborhood-wide network. And the volunteers ultimately turn around and they come in the door thinking neighborhood-wide, but they leave thinking about their block. And that would be the ultimate goal.
It's kind of cool in San Francisco because your block's bigger than you think. It's not just the street you look onto, but you know how we all have shared backyards? That's some of the people we've been waving at, you know, so that's very cool.
Or I've been shooting at them. I'm like, get off my property.
No, your shotgun?
No, you don't understand, man. I have some rare succulents in my backyard, man. I ain't putting up with anything.
I got wild poppies in my backyard.
Oh, don't mention succulents. Somebody stole mine. I'm a little bitter.
See? Everyone thinks I'm overreacting.
Right.
It's a very small amount of the population that does stuff like that. I think we have to keep that in mind when we watch the news. Generally,
everything I see on Nextdoor is true. and reasonable. So I got to share that. There was the funniest thing where this woman was so wound up about the toilet paper situation that she reported on Nextdoor and called the police that she saw her neighbor come home from the store with a ton of baby wipes, right? And she was convinced that, you know, she was going to use baby wipes instead of toilet paper because she couldn't find any in the store, right? So that the next, like 3 or 4 days later, when the woman put her trash out, she actually went through her trash can and said, I didn't find any baby wipes, right? So then, so she called the city and tried to see if the city would come out and check her sewer because she's convinced she's, you know, wet with her baby wipes. And I was like, girl, you need a hobby.
What? We were the old Sears catalog for.
Well, there you go. But I mean, like, I just couldn't believe, like, you have that much time, really. And for the record, do not go through my trash. All right, that is all my cat's property. You do not want to mess with my cat's property. So anyhow. Oh, she would have found a ton of Thompson Twins CDs in the trash last week, but that's another story. I killed my CD collection last week. Anyhow, you see, community disaster resilience is fun. And so we're going to get to that level where we're going to be constantly chronicling everyone's toilet paper consumption in the OMI. We're finally going to get our arms wrapped around that. So with that, I'll stand down this piece of the conversation, and David and I will come back next week and put together something that we think is fair and reasonable, and you guys can ratify it.
Very good.
All right, I got to go jump in here, and because everyone's waiting for me to know what to do about the COVID-19 response, so I have to hang up and go tell them what to do.
Do great things. Do great things.
Do great things. That's it. I love
Thank you. Again, congrats on the Carmen Chu. That was very impressive. I have to go back and tell everyone they can't keep up with the Joneses at OMICC.
That's right.
Peace out, everybody. Love you.
All right.
Bye. Take care, Daniel.
All right. Anything else we need to discuss? Friday, we're having a special meeting, and I'm going to send it out as soon as we get off, in regards to the Balboa Park, what is it? Balboa Reservoir. They're doing a special presentation on Friday, and I will be attaching the presentation ahead of time so that everyone can get abreast and have any questions that they would like that you may need to ask them.
What time is that?
They are proposing 1 o'clock.
Okay.
1 o'clock on Friday.
Okay.
So Delia, so we're not going to have our regular 10 o'clock then?
No. Okay. Unless you have anything we need to discuss.
No. I can't keep up anymore. That's such a mess.
I know. I know.
We got Zoom fatigue here.
Right? I don't take any meetings after 6 o'clock. So, yeah, it's too much. All right. I don't have anything else to discuss. Everyone, peace out.
Peace out.
You know where to find me.
Yeah, we do.
At home.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a